Before you spend $1 buying land in Texas, there's one thing that a lot of folks miss, and it can cost like $15,000 or more. This is a step that could save you a lot of money. Today, I'll walk you through the first segment of how to buy land in Texas in 2026. We will cover financing and due diligence. Stick with me next week. We'll cover utilities, ag exemptions, title, and surveys. And then segment 3, we'll dig into the real estate closing timeline. I'll also show you exactly what $500,000 of a budget can buy you near Taylor, Texas, so you can budget with confidence and avoid costly mistakes. So let's dig into the first part here, which is down payment and lenders. We're starting off with financing because financing helps you understand how you're going to be able to make this purchase. And if you're not quite there yet to check all of these boxes, then you can start making a plan for how you're going to get there. Now, when you're looking at raw land, it commonly requires 20 to 30% down. Now, there are some larger tracts that may require a higher down payment. You're going to be looking at like 25% down, especially on something very, very massive, like 100 acres or more. There are some land specialized lenders that I want to encourage you to tap into. We've got some locals here like Capital Farm Credit or Texas Farm Credit. These lenders specialize in lending on tracts that are starting at 2 acres and above. They understand ag use. They understand how to value the land based on ag use, utilities, acreage, and then of course the underwriting side of it. This is important because you want somebody who understands what your plan is and is going to walk alongside you. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Now, rates on raw land are typically higher than owner-occupied homes. They also may carry shorter amortizations or balloons. If this sounds like German to you, that's okay. You can make a loan or a land purchase with fixed options, and there's also the option to do a balloon. Some people do this because they want to purchase it, and then they want to build on it, and then they want to refinance and wrap their land and their construction loan together. So this is where a balloon might be helpful. Talk with your lenders about this specifically and what's going to work best for you. But just know you've got some variable and some fixed options that are going to serve both of those purposes. Now, there's a few things that underwriters, they want to see in your file. So they're going to be checking for verified income and assets, liabilities. They're also going to want a use plan. What are you going to do with the land? Are you going to hold on to it and let it sit? Are you going to have ag production taking place somewhere on the property? Is there current ag production taking place? How are you going to maintain that? They're going to want to know, are you going to build a home site now or a home site later? Are you going to put a construction or a type of commercial business or entity on site? These are all things that are also very helpful. They're going to want a plan. And when I say a verbal, I don't mean to say a verbal plan. They're going to want something that's structured and usually in writing in some capacity. So they may want you to give options in terms of, hey, you know, I've got 12 months that I'm going to be looking to build something, or maybe it's 24 months. They're going to want something a little more structured. If you plan to build later, ask about a one-time close or what's called a construction to perm pathway that you can use to make your purchase and construct at the same time. So these are just some things to think about. I've had several folks who have made a purchase of land and went ahead and opened up the funding for their construction project, and they closed all at the same time. What does that mean for you? It means that you can have one closing with one set of closing costs and fees. So there are some folks like myself, we purchased land and then we did a construction loan and then we refinanced to put them together. That requires 2 different sets of closing at least. So this is where it's helpful when you can do it one time, save a little bit of money. Now, there are some things I want to point out here that are very, very important. Practical tips, if you will. It's very important for you to lock in your lender early. Now, The reason why is because these loan processes are stretched out. They're longer than most other loans, especially compared to residential. This is important because you want somebody who's going to walk alongside you throughout the entire process. Someone who's going to know your file inside and out, know your plans, know your goals, and who's going to be able to help guide you before there's a red flag or something comes up that's a problem. You're going to want to get a written cost estimate in terms of fees and any type of reserves. You're going to want to know all this ahead of time. So, in order to make that purchase, what exactly is included in that? And that applies to your down payment as well. If you're buying or considering buying with an LLC or a trust, make sure that you're confirming with your lender and you know the requirements up front for that, because that's going to be a little bit different than putting an offer on something as a personal buyer with just your name. Now, this wraps it up for segment 1 of how to buy land in Texas in 2026. Next week, we'll be covering utilities, closing timelines, and then you can also check back. We're going to have a third segment where we will really dig into the title side of acquiring land and all of the pieces that go with that. So you can always download my free land buying checklist in the description. It includes a feasibility timeline, vendor contact list, and cost ranges that you can get an idea. You can also text me land buyer, 2 words, land buyer, at 512-269-7907, or call me as well. I will send you 5 current acreage deals that are within 15 minutes of Taylor, delivered today or whenever it is that you're watching this. If you're planning to build, text me the word build and I'll send you some lender building pairings that fits your timeline and budget. I look forward to chatting more with you and helping you find your piece of land right here in Central Texas.